Hey, it's still 1:30 in the morning from the Can't Sleep Darn Teenagers movie, and I really can't sleep. I don't blame the teenagers. I guess I just blame the fact that although I'm not tired, I can't keep my eyes closed for that long. I'm not an insomniac. If anything, I actually really like to sleep because I dream a lot. I dream crazy stuff. Like, I dreamt that my history teacher and one of my friends was repairing my roof and that it killed a fish. That was like big, big round fish. I don't know why. But I dream crazy stuff, so it's not like I don't want to dream or go to sleep or that I can't sleep or that I don't like to sleep. I don't, I feel like doing something. I guess. I don't know. The same thing happened last night. I ended up getting up and reading from Sophie's World. It's a book about the history of Western philosophy, which I find fascinating, especially the Baroque period. I admired Descartes for his mathematical, philosophical ways. If you're into philosophy, definitely hit me up. Us philosophers, we gotta stick together. That was extremely corny, but I digress. I love philosophy. It's just fascinating, and I know people are like, oh, philosophers are potheads, but I can definitely tell you I am extremely straight edge. I get B's, A's, except that stupid C in bio. I don't get my teacher. But besides that, I do pretty well. I'm a good student. I like to learn math. I'm one of those weird math people, by the way. I like math. I'm in Algebra 2, and I'm only a sophomore in high school, if you couldn't tell. My name is Marissa, if that doesn't say that on my profile. My name is Professor Fail, I think. Me and pedo friend or best friends. Anyway, so I couldn't sleep last night, and I picked up Sophie's World, and I started reading, and I'm repeating myself again. I repeat myself a lot, by the way. After reading philosophy a little bit, I was reading actually about the Baroque period. I've read that book millions of times over. Sat on my couch, tried to sleep, couldn't because I wanted to do something. So I wrote a poem. Now, I like English, and obviously I love to read. I mean, I always have a book, and when I don't, I feel like lost because I need a good book. So, especially the history of modern philosophy, which is fascinating. Okay, so I was thinking about the Baroque period and all about like row your boat, life is but a dream, all that, and there's the whole idea that the Shang Tzu, and I once dreamt I was a butterfly. Am I a butterfly dreaming I'm Shang Tzu, or am I Shang Tzu dreaming I'm a butterfly? And Hepe on the Mount, how he dreams he's a baron, that he never was a slave, but then he wakes up and realizes, or he thinks that he was a slave dreaming as a baron, which neither is true, but it just goes to show you how much we can never rely so much on our senses, unless you're purely scientific. Like, if you agree with Aristotle, I mean, Aristotle was a genius, but he couldn't dry. His writings were so dry, like an encyclopedia, which I don't find much joy in reading. I don't know. I prefer Shakespeare. We are such stuff as dreams are made on, because it's so much more romantic. Not in the kissy way. The whole like, there's something out there that's impossible to touch. Like I'm not a monoist. I'm a dualist, because like, I know there's a difference between soul and thought and matter. There's definitely a huge difference, and Descartes was definitely onto something like that, but like, oh, you probably don't want to hear about philosophy. No one wants to hear about philosophy. If you do, though, and you're one of those weird people like me, go ahead, comment my page, talk to me. That'd be pretty cool. It's not that often maybe people who are interested in philosophy. Back to the poem. So I wrote this poem, and it's kind of like a weird plot. Well, not weird, but most poems I read are about, like, cheap 14-year-olds who are like, oh, I still loved you, I'll always love you, which love when you're 15 doesn't happen. I mean, even Bella and Edward from Twilight, don't even get me started on Twilight. I'll probably end up making some other video about Twilight, but all that like, oh, I love you so much, you can't love someone until you know yourself. And when you're a teenager, you're still becoming who you're going to be, so that doesn't work. At least I don't think so. Anyway, I wrote the poem, which I don't really do. I like math, and I love to read. And I've tried writing before, but it never just seems to work. You know, it feels too forced. I look back and I never like it. I don't know, but I wrote this poem, and I don't hate it, which is a huge surprise because I'll eventually hate it. I always hate myself in the past tense, but this poem is, I don't want to give it away, because if you want to read it, then that'd be really cool, but no one's probably going to watch this video anyway, so it doesn't really matter. It's basically about how I'm Christian philosopher, I know, whoa. And don't get me like, oh, you're Christian, da-da-da-da, Jesus was a zombie, da-da-da-da. I love God. God loves me. He loves you too, even if you don't believe it. But, okay, so it's basically about heaven and dreaming of heaven. Now, it doesn't really exactly relate to me, because I never exactly dreamt of heaven. Then my fingers got weird. Heaven, really. But it's strange. It's like dreaming of heaven and waking up and crying because of such a beautiful dream, but God telling you, your Father in your dream, telling you that this is the future if you love Him and believe in Him, and if you accept Him in your heart, which it doesn't come directly out and say that. If you don't want to read it, that'd be really cool, but it starts off, before the serpent's seduction, the exordium to man's great fall. It's on a sticky note on my Mac. It goes on like that, but it's 19 4-line stanzas, I believe. It doesn't rhyme, because I prefer poetry that doesn't rhyme, like Samuel Taylor Coleridge. I always get the poem mixed up, but when I read it, I really like it. What if you slept, and in your sleep you dreamed, and in your dream you went to heaven and there and picked a strange and beautiful flower, and when you awoke you had that flower in your hand? Ah, what then? I think he was a romantic, I believe. I had fun. I always have fun reading, but what I don't understand is, how can you not love to read? Like, people say, okay, I hear arguments like, fiction, it's dumb because it's not real, but sometimes fiction is more true than reality itself, you know? Like, does that make any sense? I know, it don't make sense. I'm tired, and I can't sleep. And it's 1:36 a.m. Sunday on January 18th, 2009. When I write papers in school, I always write 2009 at the end. I don't know why, but I kind of just do. I'm sitting on my kitchen floor talking to nobody, really, because I don't think anyone's watching this. Except you, of course. Can't forget you. Always suspect you to read this, watch this, read this. See, that's how I tune into bucks. I don't do this much. I started a YouTube account. I don't know why, I guess. Something to rant. I don't know, this hair is bugging me because I never wear my hair like this. And this is a 9-minute long video. And I can talk a lot, obviously. Sorry, this is bothering me. Okay. That looks even worse. Whatever. Talk to me if you're into philosophy, because that would be pretty cool. Sometimes being alone isn't all that fun. And that's not gonna emo. Anyway, I am actually going to try and get some sleep. That does sound like a good idea. I will be making YouTube video sometime in the near future, which is extremely relative. So I'm gonna duck out of here while I still have 10 minutes and 11 seconds.